Welcome to Carolyn's History. Today we're going to talk about the 6 main motives for colonizing and exploring the New World. Okay, first one is to find a new trade route to India and Asia. So Europeans had long traded with these areas in either via the Silk Road, right? So a road that went from modern day Turkey all the way through to China to the ocean. And this was controlled by the Mongols and the Chinese. By now, the Chinese, and then of course the Ottoman Empire or different Islamic empires. So it's going to be heavily taxed, and then Europeans would also sail around Africa, right, the continent, sail around the Cape of Good Hope, and make it to India and China. Now, this was dangerous, right? The Cape of Good Hope, very rocky waters, right? You might be shipwrecked, and it's expensive, right? They're actually looking for a cheaper route because the Islamic empires controlled the trading. They controlled the Arabian Peninsula, North Africa, again, parts of the Silk Road, and then even different ports in India. So Europeans are actually trying to cut out the middleman, right? Because they would charge tariffs, they charge you to dock your ship, stuff like that, and it drove up prices of Eastern goods. Okay, so Columbus is actually going to sail for Spain. He lands in the Bahamas. He's, trying to go to India, but he'll call that the West Indies because he thinks he's probably there. So now that the Spanish have found the New World, they're going to keep coming, right? And now the next 3 motives are called the 3 Gs. So they're pretty easy to remember: God, gold, and glory. So now they're sailing for God, right? The Catholic Church survived the Protestant Reformation. They survived the Moors bringing Islam to Spain. And now that they've kind of ousted them, they're ready to get more converts, right? And so we've got a couple new groups, the Jesuits, the Franciscans, who are going to do a lot of converting and missionary work in the New World. Gold. This is probably the biggest one. While most people would risk their lives going to these new continents, so literally to find gold, right? Gold and silver, and they do find that in Mexico and South America, lots of it. And of course, gold. I mean, it's valuable today. It was valuable back then as a currency, and then even figuratively, some kind of economic opportunity, some way to make your fortune in the New World. And glory, of course. Christopher Columbus, right? During his day was probably glorified, right? Discovering new continents, not too many people get to do that, right? Nowadays, we actually debate that a little bit more, whether or not to celebrate Columbus Day, whether or not to regard him as a hero or villain. Perhaps he brought more harm than good to the Americas. But, you discover something new, you're probably going to get some glory out of that. Okay, next, let's talk about settling more the United States area. And so your British, your French, and your Dutch actually came for economic opportunity. So economic opportunity will be your 4th reason, or you can kind of combine it with the gold if you like. And so your British, they founded many, not islands, of course, states. They start with Jamestown in Virginia, and they use what's called a joint stock company. And a joint stock company is more of a corporation where people invest a small amount of money and kind of spread the risk out. So these are ordinary citizens, right? Trying to pitch in and go to the Americas and hopefully find gold or make some kind of fortune. And so that's how Jamestown started, and a lot of our other American colonies. The Dutch also used the joint stock company. Now, they don't find gold, but they do find tobacco in Virginia, and so that'll be kind of their brown gold, which will make coming to the Americas profitable. Okay, last one, religious persecution, right? Or to escape religious persecution and find religious freedom. So your Puritans, right, are pilgrims. So probably remember they came, right, to escape that religious persecution. So England has the Church of England, or the Anglican Church, right? The king says, hey, you have to be part of my church. You can't pick and choose here. And so we're going to have groups like Catholics that will be persecuted. Lord Baltimore will found Maryland for his Catholic family and friends. And then, of course, the Puritans, right? They want to be able to practice their religion freely, so they'll settle in the Massachusetts area. And then, many more groups and groups after that. So those are the 6 main reasons for exploration. So let's review that. So new trade routes to Indian Asia, God, gold, glory, economic opportunity, and religious freedom. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed today's segment. Subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of your history.